Today's question is, should you rent or should you buy a home? Especially moving to the Greater Toronto Area with the market the way it is, this is a really important question. In today's video, I'm going to talk about certain factors that'll help you make that decision. Let's jump into that right now. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Nasira Jamal and I'm a local realtor right here in the Greater Toronto Area with the Canada Realty Group. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living, working, playing, eating, sleeping, and even if you should buy first or rent first when you get to the Greater Toronto Area, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your notification on so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Honestly, I get calls every day from people who are moving here, relocating here, and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about moving to the area, you're relocating, or maybe you're just coming to check it out, make sure you give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. You can even send that pigeon carrier. I've got your back when you're moving into the Greater Toronto Area. In today's video, I'm going to answer a $1 million question. I've been getting this a lot, so I thought, well, I'm going to do a video and I'm going to go over some factors that may help you make the decision. So what is that $1 million question? Well, should you buy first or should you rent first? You see, I get this question because our housing market is so strong that people come and wonder if perhaps, they are making the right decision, whether it is to rent or buy. So to rent a 2-bedroom condominium, you're looking at about $2,000 a month. And if you're looking at renting a detached home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, or 4 bedrooms, you're looking at about $2,500 a month on average, depending on area. So that's like, if you look at the 2-bedroom condominium at $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year. And for the detached home, you're about $30,000 a year. So what you want to think about, and the first factor that I want to talk about is interest rates, is really right now we are at the lowest interest rate that is probably recorded in history. We are under 2%. It makes our US friends quite envious, I think, because we're still lower than they are, and they're actually not that bad either. But we are experiencing the lowest interest rates. I've seen one of my clients actually got 1.49% on a 5-year fixed mortgage, which really is just like getting free money. And this is the time where people look at, if you're going to put your business hat on and say, well, what's best? If I'm coming in with a down payment, you've got the ability to purchase a home, is this the right time? So people will ask me, well, since the market is climbing up so quickly, so much, is there going to be some sort of correction? Is there going to be a crash? Well, I started in real estate 15 years ago, and back then, people were saying that, the housing market is so strong that we're going to see some sort of correction, and it hasn't happened. And what we're seeing in terms of the data and what is being reported by, economic experts, interest rates are going to remain low probably up until 2023. Keeping that in mind, it means that, there's going to be a lot of people in the market to purchase a home. What we're experiencing right now is lower inventory, which means that, with supply and demand, there's a lot of buyers in the market and they are competing for homes. So this is, where you can see that the market is really hot and there's a lot more buyers in the market than there are sellers. But with interest rates being so low, you can actually qualify for a lot more money or a lot more house. And even if that's not the route you want to take, you want to say, well, I still don't want to go over my budget. There are still homes, properties you can get into under $500,000. And if that means that you're going to be positioning yourself to build your own equity, and I did this in another video, but let's just say there was a home that you purchased last year or somebody purchased last year at $600,000. The appreciation rate that the Toronto Real Estate Board just put out last couple of weeks ago is at 15.5%. So if you think about it and you calculate 600,000, multiply that by 15.5%, that's $93,000 in equity that they've just built up for a purchase that they may have made last year in January. And this year, they're reporting a 15.5% appreciation. So in the GTA, of course, the different areas, some of them will vary. This is an average across the GTA. You can still look at this and say, well, if you're going to be building equity by purchasing a home, then is that going to help you build that nest egg perhaps for in the next couple of years where you could maybe upsize your home or, take the equity out and start a business? I mean, a lot of people are diversifying these funds, right? That they're being able to grow rapidly. When you're renting, and it's of course very individualized. Like I want you to look at it from your own perspective, and that's why having a meeting with our team is really important so that we can help you set out those expectations and understand your objectives of what you're trying to accomplish and see how it's best. And sometimes what you have to do is put on your business hat and see over the long term what is going to help you the most. So if you are thinking that, you're going to rent for a year, that's $24,000, you've paid towards the landlord's mortgage, how is that going to compare to something if you purchase? Now, mind you, when you're purchasing a home, there are other expenses, right? You're looking at maintenance, insurance, you're looking at things like land transfer tax initially, and of course there's rebates for first-time home buyers. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into structuring your mortgage or even just getting a pre-approval and sort of seeing what your expense or your cost will be. But if you can look at both and see which one is better for you, then you can make the right decision. And you don't have to look back and say, gosh, I wish I had bought that house a year ago because I would have been 50,000, 60,000, 80, 90,000 ahead of the game this year. And that's why it's so important to work with a team that's going to be able to sit with you and figure this out. You see, it's not just about buying that house or renting, getting a quick rental. It's about figuring out what your 5-year plans are, or 10-year plan. What is it that you want to do? And when you're moving into a country, you want to look at what are the benefits that we have that could really help you grow. And right now, one of the main things is our low interest rates. And it's time to, look at it, capitalize on it if you can, depending on your down payment. Even though the housing market is so strong, most of our homes, the listed homes are going over list price. We do want to talk about the appraisal gap, because in some cases, if you pay more for a home and the property is not appraised, then depending on your down payment, we want to make sure that there's funds there that you could use to pay for that gap. But remember, even if there was an appraisal gap, if you look at the percentage that your home is increasing and the projected growth that we are looking at in Toronto, in the Greater Toronto Area, then you can look at it and know that you're making the right decision. Even though you may be paying a little bit more, you're still getting into a property that is acquiring more value and equity over this short time. Whether it's 2, 3, 4 years, you're just going to see that your equity is building. So if you're coming into the area and you're considering, purchasing, then you want to have this meeting and a discovery meeting with us and get those questions answered. So, I had a client who purchased a home 2 years ago in Brampton. They bought a house for $590,000. And, we were talking the other day, and not that they're thinking about selling, but they were just so grateful that even though 2 years ago they thought, gosh, we're paying $590,000 for a home, and it was at their top end of their budget, what they realized is that they made the best decision, because right now their property has gone up over 30%. Brampton has seen some of the highest numbers in increase, and they're really grateful for the fact that they made that decision. Now, if you look at purchasing a home now and you can see that our growth is there, that, we have our infrastructure in place, there's jobs, that you can afford it, obviously based on your salary, you want to look at where you're going to be in a year from now, 2 years from now, right? And you don't want to kind of kick yourself and say, gosh, I wish I had done this a year ago. And we have a lot of people that sometimes come to us and say, I wish I had listened to you. I wish we had done it back a year ago. But still, there's still time. If you're coming here, look at how you can jump into the or the housing market and see if you can capitalize on growing that equity for yourself. Now, some people, they don't have the down payment. Maybe they only have 5% and they think they can't purchase. So let's just clear that up. You don't need 20%, although if you have 20%, you are going to save on the insurance fee. It's called the CMHC insurance fee. The thing with that is it's also incorporated into the mortgage. So if you are if you're not putting a down payment of 20% or more and you're still paying that insurer fee, it's still incorporated into your mortgage. So with low interest rates, it's not going to alter your monthly payments by a lot, but working those numbers out and knowing what your monthly cost is, of course, really, really important. But let's just say that you're coming and you don't have, you haven't saved up the money, you don't have any money, and you want to come here, you want to set up your job, you want to start saving money. That's great, but you don't need 20%. So even if you have a 5% down payment, you can consider purchasing a home and start building that nest egg. And so that is really important in terms of having that discussion. Whether it's us or you're using another team, another professional to help you, make sure you look at the difference between purchasing and renting and compare the numbers. If it's a $2,000 rental as opposed to, if you're buying a condominium for $500,000, what are those numbers going to look like for you? So for some people, they will consider coming for a short time, looking at properties, and not all the time is it that, while you're here, whether it's a couple of weeks or a couple of months, that you find the property. You might have to go back home. But what happens is once you've come here, we've walked you through the areas, we've shown you properties, we've looked at some things and gotten a clear understanding of what you like in a home. Sometimes what happens is that you go home and a property comes up and it matches the exact same criteria. We have done virtual FaceTiming with clients where they were able to see it and put an offer in on a property, even though they were not physically here. And what that means is in a hot market like this is still being able to get into the property in the right area, in the right neighborhood. And that all, happens if that is the route you choose. Now, you may be here. You may think, I want to be physically present, get your boots on, and let's start, trekking out there and finding a home, finding the right neighborhood. Can look at a short-term rental. For a lot of clients, they look at the Airbnb option, 30, 60, 90 days. For a lot of homes, the closing is 30, 60, 90 days. In some cases, what we've been able to do is really get a longer closing so that the seller may be looking for a home, and once they sell it, they know their closing date. It's a 3-month or 4-month closing date. So you still have time. You can get settled in, get the kids in school if that's what needs to be done, and in the area that you want to be in, and still have that home secured in today's prices, as opposed to waiting 6 months or 8 months and having the price go up and your basically your affordability is going to be less because price has gone up. So these are things that have to be considered when you're purchasing, or when you're coming here and you're looking at purchasing. What's the best route for you and your family? The other option is to do just a short-term 6-month rental, and you may not then choose to go with an Airbnb. You might look at doing a rental through MLS or through a private landlord. Again, you want to be in the area that you're thinking about because you want to experience the area. For a lot of people, they'll say to us that, the reason we want to rent is we want to just get a feel for the area, right? And so what we tell people is if you're thinking of a certain neighborhood, then rent in that neighborhood so that when you're looking at purchasing, you've kind of experienced what it is like living in that community. How is the commute? What is the schooling like? What is daycare like? So again, even if you are thinking of renting for a short term, it's still really important to be in the neighborhood or the area so that you can start experiencing it and know that that's right for you. So the other factor to consider in such a hot market is positioning yourself to win. So whether you're buying or renting, we're seeing multiple offers all over the place. And what I find is if you have your ducks in a row, if you have your expectations set, and you understand what it is that's going to take to win an offer, then you are more in a position where you're not going to be frustrated or you're going to be all over the map, not understanding what the process is. We use a lot of different strategies. Of course, the numbers matter to a seller, but also if we can pull at their heartstrings, ensure that, they're not meeting you with COVID. And even in a lot of cases, even if it wasn't COVID, for the most part, the seller only sees you on paper. And so we give a lot of life to the offer by doing different things, by ensuring that the seller sees that why you really love their home, what is it that that you love about their home or their neighborhood. And we give that personal sense so that you are in a greater position to win. So this is all part of the process, working with a professional lender that's on our team will ensure that we have all of our ducks in a row where the numbers are concerned. And this is a factor that's really going to play a huge part in the next coming 6 to 8 months as we get into a spring market where there's going to be further demand for people that are looking at purchasing a home. Again, interest rates are giving more people buying power, so there's more buyers in the market, and fewer inventory just means that there's going to be more demand. So it is really positioning yourself, but ensuring that those expectations are set properly, that you have everything in order. There's going to be paperwork that's required. So if you're coming into the country, you want to ensure that you have all of the things that will be required so that you're not scurrying or feeling frustrated or feeling like just because you didn't have something in place or in order that you were not able to put in an offer on perhaps what would have been your dream home. So if you're thinking about moving into the Greater Toronto area, you're relocating, or you're just coming here to check things out, make sure you give us a call, shoot us an email, send that pigeon carrier or a text message. Days, nights, evenings, or weekends, we've got your back when you're moving to the Greater Toronto area. Until the next video, I'll catch you later.